Om Shanti. Withdraw your attention from the outside world and bring it to yourself. Focus at the center of your forehead and experience that I am that awareness, that consciousness, wherever your intellect is. Maybe thinking about past or future. Bring it in this moment, in the presence. I am a shining star, shining at the center of my forehead. Try to experience it. Feel it. Try to visualize. See yourself as a star, shining light. I am not my body. I am not my past. I am not my mind. Detach yourself from all the unnecessary thoughts. Just liberate yourself and tell yourself, I am a soul and I am the creator of my feelings and my thoughts. I am a peaceful being. Peace is my original virtue. Experience an ocean of peace within yourself. The calmness, the light in your brain, your eyes, your face, and gradually this stream of peace is radiating to your whole body. Om Shanti. Om Shanti. Good afternoon. How's everyone doing today? Okay, so should we continue with our reading? I'll just share the screen. Okay, so is this screen visible to everyone? Okay, so we're going to start. It's page number 166 in the hard book. Okay. So yesterday we finished, we ended at this very profound statement from the New Testament book of Revelation. Then I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth had passed away. Okay, so we'll continue. But don't confuse cause and effect. Your primary task is not to seek salvation through creating a better world, but to awaken out of identification with form. You are then no longer bound to this world, this level of reality. You can feel your roots in the unmanifested and so are free of attachment to the manifested world. You can feel your roots in the unmanifested and so are free of attachment to the manifested world. You can still enjoy the passing pleasures of this world, but there is no fear of loss anymore. You don't need to cling to them. Although you can enjoy sensory pleasures, the craving for sensory experience is gone, as is the constant search for fulfillment through psychological gratification, through feeding the ego. You're in touch with something infinitely greater than any pleasure, greater than any manifested thing. In a way, you then don't need the world anymore. You don't even need it to be different from the way it is. It is only at this point that you can begin to make a real contribution towards bringing about a better world, towards creating a different order of reality. It is only at this point that you are able to feel true compassion and to help others at the level of cause. Only those who have transcended the world can bring about a better world. You may remember that we talked about the dual nature of true compassion, which is awareness of a common bond of shared mortality and immortality. At this deep level, compassion becomes healing in its widest sense. In that state, your healing influence is primarily based not on doing, but on being. Everybody you come in contact with will be touched by your presence and affected by the peace that you emanate, whether they are conscious of it or not. When you are fully present and people around you manifest unconscious behavior, you won't feel the need to react to it, so you don't give it any reality. Your peace is so vast and deep that anything that is not peace disappears into it as if it had never existed. So this is when we are in a constant soul conscious stage. This breaks the karmic cycle of action and reaction. Animals, trees, flowers will feel your peace and respond to it. You teach through being, through demonstrating the peace of God. You become the light of the world, an emanation of pure consciousness. And so, you eliminate suffering on the level of cause. You eliminate unconsciousness from the world. This doesn't mean that you may not also teach through doing. For example, by pointing out how to disidentify from the mind, recognize unconscious patterns within oneself, and so on. But who you are is always a more vital teaching and a more powerful transformer of the world than what you say, and more essential even than what you do. So it's more who we are is what we radiate, not what we say or what we do. What is our essence? What is our intention? That's more important. Furthermore, to recognize the primacy of being and thus work on the level of cause does not exclude the possibility that your compassion may simultaneously manifest on the level of doing and of effect by alleviating suffering whenever you come across it. When a hungry person asks you for bread and you have some, you will give it. But as you give the bread, even though your interaction may only be very brief, what really matters is this moment of shared being, of which the bread is only a symbol. A deep healing takes place within it. In that moment, there is no giver, no receiver. So now the seeker is saying, but there shouldn't be any hunger, any starvation in the first place. How can we create a better world without tackling evils such as hunger and violence first? So the author explains, all evils are the effect of unconsciousness. You can alleviate the effects of unconsciousness, but you cannot eliminate them unless you eliminate their cause. You cannot eliminate them unless you eliminate their cause. True change happens within, not without. If you feel called upon to alleviate suffering in the world, that is a very noble thing to do. But remember not to focus exclusively on the outer. Otherwise, you will encounter frustration and despair. Without a profound change in human consciousness, the world's suffering is a bottomless pit. So don't let your compassion become one-sided. So it's the consciousness we have to focus on, not what is happening externally. Empathy with someone else's pain or lack and a desire to help need to be balanced with a deeper realization of the eternal nature of all life and the ultimate illusion of all pain. Empathy with someone else's pain or lack and a desire to help need to be balanced with a deeper realization of the eternal nature of all life and the ultimate illusion of all pain. Then let your peace flow into whatever you do, and you will be working on the levels of effect and cause simultaneously. So, to have a deeper realization of the eternal nature. The eternal nature is the same for everyone. We are all one. The soul virtues are the same. This also applies if you are supporting a movement designed to stop deeply unconscious humans from destroying themselves, each other, and the planet, or from continuing to inflict dreadful suffering on other sentient beings. Remember, just as you cannot fight the darkness, so you cannot fight unconsciousness. If you try to do so, the polar opposites will become strengthened and more deeply entrenched. You will become identified with one of the polarities. You will create an enemy and so be drawn into unconsciousness yourself. So we can't fight the unconscious. We have to be very patient. Raise awareness by disseminating information, or at the most practice passive resistance. But make sure that you carry no resistance within, no hatred, no negativity. Love your enemies, said Jesus, which of course means have no enemies. So there should be no resistance within, no hatred, no negativity. Once you get involved in working on the level of effect, it is also too easy to lose yourself in it. Stay alert and very, very present. The causal level needs to remain your primary focus. The teaching of enlightenment, your main purpose, and peace, your most precious gift to the world. Okay, so now we're moving on to the next chapter, which is the meaning of surrender, acceptance of the now. So the seeker is asking the author, you mentioned surrender a few times. I don't like that idea. It sounds somewhat fatalistic. If we always accept the way things are, we are not going to make any effort to improve them. It seems to me what progress is all about, both in our personal lives and collectively, is not to accept the limitations of the present, but to strive to go beyond them and create something better. If we hadn't done this, we would still be living in caves. How do you reconcile surrender with changing things and getting things done? So the author says, to some people, surrender may have negative connotations, implying defeat, giving up, failing to rise to the challenges of life, becoming lethargic, and so on. True surrender, however, is something entirely different. So surrender doesn't mean just giving up and just, leaving life the way it is and not uh, getting involved in anything. It does not mean to passively put up with whatever situation you find yourself in and to do nothing about it. Nor does it mean to cease making plans or initiating positive action. Surrender is the simple but profound wisdom of yielding to rather than opposing the flow of life. Surrender is the simple but profound wisdom of yielding to rather than opposing the flow of life. The only place where you can experience the flow of life is the now. So to surrender is to accept the present moment unconditionally and without reservation. It is to relinquish inner resistance to what is. So surrender, in very simple words, is full acceptance and no resistance to the present moment. Inner resistance is to say no to what is through mental judgment and emotional negativity. It becomes particularly pronounced when things go wrong, which means that there is a gap between the demands or rigid expectations and rigid expectations mind and what is. There's something not right in this. It becomes particularly pronounced when things go wrong. Let me just check in the book. Yeah, it becomes particularly pronounced when things go wrong, which means that there is a gap between the demands or rigid expectations of your mind and what is. That is the pain gap. If you have lived long enough, you will know that things go wrong quite often. It is precisely at those times that surrender needs to be practiced. If you want to eliminate pain and sorrow from your life, acceptance of what is immediately frees you from mind identification and thus reconnects you with being. Resistance is the mind. Surrender is a purely inner phenomenon. It does not mean, that on the outer level, you cannot take action and change the situation. It does not mean that on the outer level, you cannot take action and change the situation. In fact, it is not the overall situation that you need to accept when you surrender, but just the tiny segment called the now. It's not the overall situation you need to accept, but just the tiny segment called the now. For example, if you were stuck in the mud somewhere, you wouldn't say, okay, I resign myself to being stuck in the mud. Resignation is not surrender. You don't need to accept an undesirable or unpleasant life situation. Nor do you need to deceive yourself and say that there is nothing wrong with being stuck in the mud. No. You recognize fully that you want to get out of it. You then narrow your attention down to the present moment without mentally labeling it in any way. This means that there is no judgment of the now. Therefore, there is no resistance, no emotional negativity. You accept the isness of this moment. Then you take action and do all that you can to get out of the mud. So it's important to accept the situation and then take action accordingly. Such action I call positive action. It is far more effective than negative action, which arises out of anger, despair, or frustration. So positive action, this is important. Until you achieve the desired result, you continue to practice surrender by refraining from labeling the now. Let me give you a visual analogy to illustrate the point I am making. You are walking along a path at night, surrounded by thick fog, but you have a powerful flashlight that cuts through the fog and creates a narrow, clear space in front of you. The fog is your life situation, which includes past and future. The flashlight is your conscious presence. The clear space is the now. Non-surrender hardens your psychological form, the shell of the ego, and so creates a strong sense of separateness. The world around you, and people in particular, come to be perceived as threatening. The unconscious compulsion to destroy others through judgment arises, as does the need to compete and dominate. Even nature becomes your enemy, and your perceptions and interpretations are governed by fear. The mental disease that we call paranoia is only a slightly more acute form of this normal but dysfunctional state of consciousness. Not only your psychological form, but also your physical form, your body becomes hard and rigid through resistance. Tension arises in different parts of the body, and the body as a whole contracts. The free flow of life energy through the body, which is essential for its healthy functioning, is greatly restricted. So this causes physically problems as well when we are not in the present and we don't accept the situation. Body work and certain forms of physical therapy can be helpful in restoring this flow, but unless you practice surrender in your everyday life, those things can only give temporary symptom relief, since the cause, the resistance pattern, has not been dissolved. There is something within you that remains unaffected by the transient circumstances that makes up your life situation, and only through surrender do you have access to it. It is your life, your very being, which exists eternally in the timeless realm of the present. Finding this life is the one thing that is needed. that Jesus talked about. If you find your life situation unsatisfactory or even intolerable, it is only by surrendering first that you can break the unconscious resistance pattern that perpetuates that situation. So it is only by surrendering first that you can break the unconscious resistance pattern. Surrender is perfectly compatible with taking action, initiating change, or achieving goals. But in the surrendered state, a totally different energy, a different quality flows into your doing. Surrender reconnects you with the source energy of being, and if your doing is infused with being, it becomes a joyful celebration of life energy that takes you more deeply into the now. In this surrendered state, a totally different energy, a different quality flows into your doing. Surrender reconnects you with the source energy of being. And if your doing is infused with being, it becomes a joyful celebration of life energy that takes you more deeply into the now. Through non-resistance, the quality of your consciousness and therefore the quality of whatever you are doing or creating is enhanced immeasurably. The results will then look after themselves and reflect that quality. We could call this surrendered action. It is not work as we have known it for thousands of years. As more humans awaken, the word work is going to disappear from our vocabulary, and perhaps a new word will be created to replace it. It is the quality of your consciousness at this moment that is the main determinant of what kind of future you will experience. So, to surrender is the most important thing you can do to bring about positive change. Any action you take is secondary. No truly positive action can arise out of an unsurrendered state of consciousness. So it is important to surrender to the situation. So the seeker says, I can see that if I am in a situation that is unpleasant or unsatisfactory, and I completely accept the moment as it is, there will be no suffering or unhappiness. I will have risen above it. But I still can't quite see where the energy or motivation for taking action and bringing about change would come from if there isn't a certain amount of dissatisfaction. So the author says, in this state of surrender, you see very clearly what needs to be done, and you take action doing one thing at a time and focusing on one thing at a time. Learn from nature. See how everything gets accomplished and how the miracle of life unfolds without dissatisfaction or unhappiness. That's why Jesus said, look at the lilies, how they grow. They neither toil nor spin. If your overall situation is unsatisfactory or unpleasant, separate out this instant and surrender to what is. That's the flashlight cutting through the fog. Your state of consciousness then ceases to be controlled by external conditions. You are no longer coming from reaction and resistance. So if the situation is unpleasant or unsatisfactory, the author is saying separate out this instant and surrender to what is. Then look at the specifics of the situation. Ask yourself, is there anything I can do to change the situation, improve it, or remove myself from it? If so, you take appropriate action. Focus on the two things that you will or may have to do at some future time, but on the one thing that you can do now. This doesn't mean you should not do any planning. It may well be that planning is the one thing you can do now. But make sure you don't start to run mental movies, project yourself into the future, and so lose the now. Any action you take may not bear fruit immediately. Until it does, do not resist what is. If there is no action you can take, and you cannot remove yourself from the situation either, then use the situation to make you go more deeply into surrender, more deeply into the now, more deeply into being. When you enter this timeless dimension of the present, change often comes about in strange ways without the need for a great deal of doing on your part. So sometimes when there are situations that are not in our control, that we can't do much about, it's just important to just surrender. And then change just comes on its own. We don't really need to do much about it. Life becomes helpful and cooperative if inner factors such as fear, guilt, or inertia prevented you from taking action. They will dissolve in the light of your conscious presence. Wow. So if inner factors such as fear, guilt, or inertia prevented you from taking action, they will dissolve in the light of your conscious presence. Do not confuse surrender with an attitude of, I can't be bothered anymore, or I just don't care anymore. If you look at it closely, you will find that such an attitude is tainted with negativity in the form of hidden resentment, and so is not surrender at all, but masked resistance. It is resistance when we say, oh, I'm not bothered anymore. As you surrender, direct your attention inward to check if there is any trance of resistance left inside you. Be very alert when you do so. Otherwise, a pocket of resistance may continue to hide in some dark corner in the form of a thought or an unacknowledged emotion. So we have to check ourselves deeply. What are our root causes, our core inner beliefs? From mind energy to spiritual energy. Letting go of resistance is easier said than done. I still don't see clearly how to let go. If you say it is by surrendering, the question remains how. Start by acknowledging that there is resistance. Be there when it happens. When the resistance arises, Be there when it happens, when the resistance arises. So the author is saying, acknowledge that there is resistance, accept it. Observe how your mind creates it, how it labels the situation, yourself or others. Look at the thought process involved. Feel the energy of the emotion. By witnessing the resistance, you will see that it serves no purpose. So witness it like a detached observer. Just see what your mind is thinking. By focusing all your attention on the now, the unconscious resistance is made conscious, and that is the end of it. You cannot be conscious and unhappy, conscious and in negativity. Negativity, unhappiness, or suffering in whatever form means that there is resistance, and resistance is always unconscious. Okay, so I think we'll end here today. We'll start from, surely I can be conscious of my unhappy feelings. Okay, so we'll start from this tomorrow. Okay. Okay. So would anyone want to share what they've learned today? What they've understood? Okay, Rajiv ji. Yes.
Om Shanti. Am I audible?
Yes, you are. Yes, you're audible.
The writer wants to say that surrender has a great power. When you surrender with consciousness, and he also focused on that point. When you are surrendering, you should take all the points that any resistance our pocket is forming or not. When we aware about those things, that some things happening after surrender, then it dissolves and it becomes natural, and the power of surrender increased. The increased and brought us increased our potential and brought us into peace and harmony and dissolve the pain.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
in my because I practiced when I was sitting 1 hour. We always change the posture. Then with feelings, I started that anything is not permanent. Law of permanence is here. Then I found that I sat uh, 1 hour. No doubt pain was there, but I was constantly feeling that pain is on that. After some time, the pain dissolved and shifted to another person. And we have a pain, but we normally concentrate on the pain only. Then it started growing and increase, and its area of operation becomes bigger and bigger. That is the problem. When we
Mm.
focus on the pain, it goes. Okay,
Mm.
thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for sharing your views, brother. Okay, Rana sister. Yes,
Om
Rana.
Shanti.
Om
Om
Shanti
Shanti.
sister.
Yes, thank you.
Thank
I learned today about surrender.
you.
Surrender is really very important in our lives. To surrender to life, accept every situation as it is, and know that if a situation is not we can't tolerate it, we can see the things that we should do, but the one thing at a time, not to overthink, just accept the situation and see what can we do. And we always want to check ourselves, is it really surrendering or a mask of yes, we don't care or whatever? No, we should really investigate deep within ourselves. Is there any negativity? Is there any dark space that holds the feeling that a resistance, any kind of resistance? Very, very important to know this and to have our time with ourselves to know what is really surrendering. Oh, Shanti, thank you.
Om Shanti, sister. Thank you so much. Yeah, you explained very beautifully the meaning of surrender. It's basically, I would say, it's full acceptance and no resistance. In just two words, if I had to sum up what surrender is. But yes, I completely agree. We need to do our deep checking, because what happens is on surface level, on surface level, we do sort of accept situations. But when we really go deep and we check our core beliefs, there is resistance somewhere or the other. So we need to work on ourselves more, I feel. So thank you so much, sister, for sharing. Okay, Sujata, sister. Yes.
Om Shanti.
Om Shanti.
Am I Om Shanti? Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible. Yes.
So today we learnt about surrender, but I found that the main obstruction to surrender is resistance.
Yeah.
So what I understood today mainly is, why does this resistance comes? The resistance comes due to the gap between what our mind expects and what is. So what is not in our hand, but what our mind expects, that is in our, not completely in hand. But by acknowledging the resistance, we will understand that is why resistance is occurring, because our mind expects something else and real situation what is different. So once we understand why resistance comes, then it will be easy to dissolve that and surrender. Okay, Om Shanti. Thank
Om Shanti. Yeah, thank you so much, sister. That was really wonderfully put, that it is the expectations of our mind. So, resistance is when we expect and we don't get what we are expecting. So that was really profound. Thank you so much. Okay, so we move on to the questions. So the first question is, how can a shift in our consciousness bring a shift in the outer world? According to Saint Paul, the created universe is waiting with eager expectation for God's sons to be revealed. What does this mean? Okay, so who would like to answer? Anyone? Who would like to answer this first question? There's no right or wrong. You can just say what you feel. Anything that you feel, or what relates to you, or what you've understood. Anyone would want to share? Yes. Okay. Rana, Kiran's sister. Okay. Thank you.
Om Shanti, sister.
Om Shanti, sister. Yes.
Yes, sister, like if we want to change the outer world, firstly, I think we need to change our own consciousness. I think we change our own internal thinking. But what I want to say, what I think, because the Saint Paul said the universe is waiting for the godsons. So, like our Shiva Baba also told that if you want to change yourselves, it will show automatically in the outer things also. The thing will automatically change because my mind is changing the collective consciousness. So I think we don't need to change the outer world without thinking to change ourselves. Firstly, when we want to change this world, we need to go inside and change ourselves by acceptance everything.
Yeah. Yes, sister. Thank you so much. Yeah, that's so true. And that's why they say that self-transformation brings world transformation. So it starts with self-transformation. And then, once we feel that inside us, automatically it's visible outside as well. So yeah, that's so true. Thank you so much for sharing. Okay, so let's go on to the next question. What is our primary task? And how can we begin to make a real contribution towards creating a different order of reality? Our healing influence is primarily based on doing or being. What are your views in this context? So anyone who would like to share their views? I'll just repeat the question. What is our primary task? And how can we begin to make a real contribution towards creating a different order of reality? Our healing influence is primarily based on doing or being. What are your views on this in this context? So who wants to share their views? Okay. Anyone wants to share their views? Okay, Rana sister. Yes.
Yes, Om Shanti.
Om Shanti.
Yes, thank you. When we are healing ourselves, then we are changing the unconsciousness into consciousness. So we really, when we are conscious, this is the real contribution towards creating a new world, creating a new reality, because everything and the reality is a manifestation of our internal world. So when one candle is lighted, or I don't know, is lit maybe,
Yeah.
so the other candles will also have the light from this one candle. So
Yeah.
we begin with ourselves, and then this will spread. And here we begin in a journey where we change the consciousness, we change into pure consciousness, and this is the real. And I liked one. It is also about being. It's not about doing. We can do things, but with this awareness. And I liked when the author said about we don't really search for fulfillment from pleasures or whatever. So we really are feeling that we are having this fulfillment inside without needing anything other. So this is the pure consciousness that we have to the real contribution for the world.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sister, for sharing. Yeah, that's so true. And that's why they say just one light is enough to brighten up the whole room. So it's just one candle, as you said. If one candle is lit, it can brighten up the space. So if we start becoming, ourselves conscious, that's going to create change in itself. So thank you so much, sister, for sharing. Okay, so the next question is, the author says resignation is not surrender. It does not mean that on the outer level, you cannot take action and change the situation. What is the real meaning of surrender then? Okay, this is important, I feel. So who wants to share their opinion? Yes, Rajiv ji. Okay.
Actually, the writer said that surrender, real meaning of surrender means we have to analyze the situation. When in this situation, first after analyzation, we have to point out what should I do? What is our priority? Then once we find that our priority is so and so, if we fail in mud, first priority is that we should be out of mud. Then we should
Yeah.
put all effort to come out from it. Then in surrender does not mean that we are in mud, that's okay and accept it. It means if anything coming bad from us, we after doing surrender, any feeling or anything, it stops. If anything coming us, bad thing is coming us, or then we should analyze, then surrender. That so and so things are coming. It is not good. We have to avoid it. And at a point, two things are important. One, I have to be in peace, and I am feeling that those situations is affecting me. Then either to isolate from the situation for the time being, not for the permanent. Isolate because I want to be in peace, or and give proper way to them that they should cure, and we feel that he is ill or she is ill.
Mm. Thank you so much, brother, for sharing. Okay, Sujata sister.
Om Shanti.
Om Shanti sister. Okay, you muted yourself.
Hello. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti, yes, you're audible.
Audible now? Yeah.
Yes.
So, generally, surrender is mistaken as resignation or withdrawal. That means not taking any efforts to change the situation.
Yeah.
But author explains the meaning of surrender. What he means in this book is not that withdrawing from the situation and not trying to change or not putting effort. But on the in contrast, what author suggests is that surrender means that whatever energy you waste in resistance, that you save. So
Yeah.
first fully accept. Simple meaning of surrender is accept. Once you accept, your energy which would have been wasted in resistance will be saved. Then bring your consciousness, awareness, being. So when you think from that calm, peaceful being without any resistance, then you will be able, because that is a light. So you will have more clarity to see the way out of that situation. So that is how he is defining surrender. That without withdrawing or resisting, save that energy, bring your consciousness back, and from that calm, peaceful mind, now you think of taking efforts so that you will have more energy to take efforts to change the circumstances, and that will also, without resistance, will come more easier. You don't have to put lot of efforts than what would have been if you resist. That is the meaning of surrender. Thank you. Om Shanti.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sister. Yeah, that's very true. Beautifully put together. Thank you, sister. Okay, Kiran sister.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sister, from the today's class, what I understand about the surrender meaning, yes, surrender is not to just to give up like that. Surrender meaning to accept the situation, whatever situation is coming surrounding us. Most of the time, when we are not in our conscious state, we try to solve, but we try solve it, but with the judgment, with the thinking of negativity. But from the today's lecture, what I understand, whatever situation is coming, firstly just fully accept it without any judgment. When I totally surrender, meaning when I totally separate myself from the situation, that time our mind will create the solution. Our mind will try to move what are the solution, what are the way forwards. Then automatically we will come out from the situations. But if we will not accept it, there will no solution. We will try to find myself in a blame game, and the thing will more complicated. So from now, most of the time, this type of situation is coming in my life. When I made food, most of our relatives came and they try to criticize someone. So at that time I feel very very bad at that time, when I'm making food and these people are creating these type of environment. But I don't say anything. And I always told why these people are doing these things. But from now, I tried to accept the situation, because these people will not change, but I can change. I will accept it, and then after that I will see what are the implications and what are the results.
Mm. Yeah, wow, that's so wonderful, sister. Yeah, that's really true. I've experienced the same as well, so I can understand. Thank you so much for sharing, sister. Okay, so Priya, sister.
Hello.
Hello, Om Shanti.
Om Shanti. From today's class, I learned 3 points.
Okay.
First is all are about surrender. First is surrender is a purely inner phenomenon,
Yeah.
and is the most important thing you can do to bring about positive change and reconnect you with the source energy of being. These 3 lines is very beautiful for
Yeah.
me. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, thank you so much for sharing, sister. That's wonderful. Okay, Sujata, sister.
Om Shanti.
Om Shanti, sister.
Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible. Yes.
I just want to add one thing which I just thought of in this connection with context with surrender. That if we don't accept the situation and if
Yeah.
we don't surrender, then situation will start controlling us. On the other hand, as author suggested, that if we completely accept, then without resistance, without judgment, then we can control the situation. That means we can bring positive change. So that is what it either let the situation control us or we control the situation. That option is there always, which we didn't know. Now author has given a clear cut way of how we can control the situation without being depleting our energy the other way. Thank you, Umshan.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sister, for sharing. Yes. Okay. Does anyone want to add anything else? Or we'll end the session today? Okay, Indu sister. Hanji.
Om Shanti।
Om Shanti, sister.
हाँ, बस मैं एक बात इसमें ऐड करना चाहती हूँ कि अगर हम किसी सर्कमस्टांसिस में स्टक हो जाते हैं तो हमें अपना एटीट्यूड पॉजिटिव रखना चाहिए, क्योंकि अगर हम नेगेटिव एटीट्यूड रख रहे हैं तो हम अनकॉन्शियस हैं तो इसका मतलब हम रेजिस्ट कर रहे हैं, एक्सेप्ट नहीं कर। थैंक यू।
Hanji, that's so true, Hanji. Thank you so much, sister. Okay. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining today. It was a beautiful session, and it's really nice when everyone interacts with each other. We all learn together. So I hope you all are enjoying this beautiful experience together. So we'll see you again tomorrow, same time. Okay, have a wonderful day. I'll just end the session with a beautiful song. Thank you. Om Shanti.
ख्यालों को यूं खूबसूरत करो, ख्यालों को यूं खूबसूरत करो, दिल खुदाई मोहब्बत से भर जाएगा, ख्वाबों को तुम खुशनुमा पाओगे, ख्वाबों को तुम खुशनुमा पाओगे, आसमां से जन्नत उतर आएगा, इन ख्यालों में ऐसी है ताकत भरी, मोम पत्थर को कर दे वो कारीगरी, ये बना दे फरिश्ता ये हूर और परी, क्या गजब की है इनकी भी जादूगरी, इनसे सारे ज़माने की खिदमत करो, इनसे सारे ज़माने की खिदमत करो, खुद दुआओं से दामन संवर जाएगा, ख्यालों को यूं खूबसूरत करो। ख्याल कीमती है यूं न जाया करो, अश्कों को न बेवजह बहाया करो, मुंतजिर हो खुदा की फकत याद में, भूल करना किसका दिल दुखाया करो, मुश्किलें मिटा देगा वो मुश्किल कुसान, मुश्किलें मिटा देगा वो मुश्किल कुसान, रूह में वो ताकत भर जाएगा, ख्यालों को यूं खूबसूरत करो, ख्यालों को यूं खूबसूरत करो, दिल खुदाई मोहब्बत से भर जाएगा, ख्वाबों को तुम खुशनुमा पाओगे, ख्वाबों को तुम खुशनुमा पाओगे, आसमां से जन्नत उतर आएगा, ख्यालों को यूं खूबसूरत करो, ख्यालों को यूं खूबसूरत करो, ख्यालों को यूं खूबसूरत करो।